What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Hangout Spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk. Live from my man cave is your boy Johnny. And once again, I'm your host for another edition of the Hangout Spot Live, this time the Thursday night edition. And I just want to thank everybody for rocking out with us on Tuesday night. And if you didn't rock out with us and you watched the recording, I want to give you a shout out as well. But it was one hell of a show. It was epic, man. We had the boxing legend and Hall of Famer, icon of the sport, Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter. She was on hand with me, and it was just a sensational interview. I mean, it was just phenomenal. I mean, Christy, she went through her Hall of Fame career, how it all got started, her relationship with Don King, her experiences fighting on Mike Tyson undercards on pay-per-view, fighting under cards that were headlined by Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, just legends of the sport. And she also talked about, her life, outside of the ring. I mean, obviously she survived a near-death experience. She was almost killed by her ex-husband. She was stabbed multiple times and she was shot. She spoke about that, and she is now a big advocate for domestic violence. We discussed her charity, what she's doing now with her promotion company. So I mean, Christy is she's a legend of the sport. She was nice enough to come on, and it was a fantastic interview. And if you did not get a chance to see it, make sure you check it out. At the Hangout Spot on my YouTube channel. And today we got a good show. We got a good show. But like my boy Nestor Gibbs from the Boxing Voice would say, we are solo dolo. Scarface with no Manolo, no guests today. We're just gonna rock out, just me and my viewers, man. So definitely, if you are watching this live, make sure you check in on the chat, man, because we got a lot of recent announcements that have come out. We've got fights that are happening this weekend, and I'm excited about that because we went through kind of a dead phase, in boxing for the holidays where it got quiet, so to speak, but it's gonna start to pick up. And it starts this morning. I think in the middle of the night here Eastern time, you got Naoya Inoue, who's going to be fighting out in Japan. He's going to be defending his unified titles. I'm not sure, man, if I'm going to be able to get up in the morning to watch that because I believe they said that the walkout is going to be around 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure, and I'm not an early riser, man. So we'll see. We'll see if maybe we set the alarm and we check that out. Inoue is must-watch TV. He's one of my favorite fighters. So I've done it in the past. Let's see if I'm able to do it again in the morning. But then after that, we got ProBox tomorrow night. Yours truly will be live and direct there at Plant City, Florida, Tampa, Florida. We're going to talk about that card a little bit later. And then on Saturday, we have a card that is headlined by Diego Pacheco, who is undefeated, 168-pound contender. He's going to be going up against another undefeated guy, a big step up in class, a guy that is trained by Bomac McIntyre, who's Terrence Crawford's trainer, and that is Steven Nelson. So we're going to go over all that stuff, but we're going to start out with some of the recent news and fight announcements. But as always, you know the deal. The ground rules are simple here at the Hangout Spot. If you are watching this live on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. The goal is to get this show in the algorithm of other boxing fans so that they know that we rock out every single Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it's okay if you're not watching live and you're watching the recording, make sure you smash that like button as well because it does help with the visibility of the channel. And if you have not subscribed to the Hangout Spot, make sure you do that. More importantly, tell a friend to tell a friend. We're looking for a big year in 2025. Last but not least, like I said, I don't want to be here talking by myself. So if you're watching live, make sure that you participate in the chat. In fact, we got my man Eddie Alvarez in the building. Salute to you, champ. Thanks for rocking out with me as always. But let's get right into it because we had some news that broke just recently. I think it was about 3 hours ago, 3 or 4 hours ago. And it's exciting because these are the type of things that we want to see on the regular. We want to see unification bouts, and we want to see them between the biggest names in their weight divisions. This one happens to be at welterweight, and we have the announcement. So it's official. This was a fight that had been rumored, had been talked about, for a couple of weeks now. We were just waiting for an official announcement, and it was all over IG just a few hours ago. And on April 12th in Atlantic City, it is going down. You have Jaron Boots Ennis, who's undefeated, and he's going to be facing another undefeated champion Imantis Stanionis. And this fight to me has the makings of potentially a fight of the year based on styles. This one's going to be for the IBF, WBA, and Ring Magazine welterweight championship. So shout out to both of them for making a unification bout happen, man. I mean, because like I said, we see these few and far between. It's almost like we see the females, going out there willing to unify more than the males. And there's always something that kind of keeps these fighters from unifying. But anytime that you get two champions in the ring, it's going to produce fireworks, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Jerome Boots Ennis is a special fighter. He's 33-0, 29 knockouts. He can box, he can punch. He's coming off a unanimous decision against Karen Chukadazian. A lot of people are crapping on that. They were expecting a better performance because it was a rematch. And Karen gave Boots a tough fight the first time out. So a lot of people were thinking that this time out, Boots would make a statement, possibly, stop him, since he's seen him once. But Karen's a tough dude, man. And I don't think Karen gets a lot of credit. His style, how tough he is at that weight division. And, sometimes you're going to have a fighter that regardless of your style, you're not going to be able to take out. You're not going to be able to take out. I mean, the other guy that you're facing, regardless of whether he has a title or not, regardless if he's undefeated or not, he gets paid too. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, he won that fight. There had been rumors that they wanted to get him and Brian Norman Jr., who's a WBO champion, to fight. That fell apart because of money and negotiations. And that is a anticipated fight, especially for me. You know what I'm saying? I rock with Brian Norman Jr. He's my guy. Senior's my guy. Shout out to them. And I think that fight will happen. It's just not going to obviously happen now because these two have to take care of business. And Stanionis, that is one tough dude, man. That is one tough dude. He fights in the inside. He's an exciting phone booth style fighter, but he lets his hands go. And he's the type of fighter that you want to watch if you want to see an entertaining fight. And he's also undefeated, in the prime of his career. So I think this is a banging fight. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a banging fight. And it's just going to be interesting to see what type of fight Boots fights, right? Does he choose to fight more on the outside? Because I think, like I said, Stanionis is going to look to make this fight interesting in the inside. He's going to look to make this a phone booth fight so he can land punches in bunches, and let his hands go and potentially hurt Boots. So, a lot of people, I haven't really spoken to a lot of people yet as far as prediction, because like I said, it's fairly new. I mean, it hasn't really marinated with me right now, to be honest with you, because I'm one where it doesn't matter if the boxing fights are being talked about. I mean, I've been burned so many times with rumors and potential fights that should be happening or will happen, and I'm thinking they are going to happen and they don't. So I'm one of those fight fans, and I'm like, yo, until it's signed, sealed, and delivered, I ain't even going to think about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to waste my time thinking about it, and this was one of them. So now that it's signed, sealed, and delivered, we're going to give it some thought, and as it gets closer, we'll start to break it down a little bit more. But I don't know, man. On the surface, I don't really know who to pick right now, because, Stanionis, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to go with Boots. I mean, he's the bigger name, in the welterweight division. And shout out to him, because there was a lot of talk that he could potentially be too big for the division or, move up to 154. We know that he took a lot of shit for not taking a fight with Virgil Ortiz at 154. He took a lot of slack, about, around that whole deal. But at the end of the day, if the reasoning was he didn't want to take a fight with Virgil Ortiz at 154 because he wanted to stay at 147 and unify, then I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that, because I think that there's some unfinished business here for him. There's smoke here for him. Like I said, the fight with him and Brian Norman is a fight that I really, really am interested in seeing, but he's going to have to get past Stanionis. And like I said, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's going to be a tough task. But we got my man Norbs in the building from Norbs It All Network. Johnny is a second handsome boxing host today. And I'm assuming you're going to say you're number one, right? All right. Shout out to my man, who always keeps it funny, man, and loose, man. I appreciate you, my brother. Eddie Alvarez, Boots is getting stopped. Wow. Okay. I mean, listen, it wouldn't surprise me, man. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me, because I'm one that thought that Boots should have looked a lot more impressive his last fight. Like, I'm not gonna crap on the performance totally, but I was a little disappointed. Like I said, I was expecting, a late round stoppage, and the fact that he couldn't do that leads me to believe that, like I said, when the competition gets a lot tougher, now you're talking about fighting, champions, unifying titles. Who knows what's going to happen? Like I said, who knows what's going to happen? So, but to be honest with you, Eddie, I haven't really given that much thought yet. Like I said, as we get closer, we'll start to break it down a little bit more. But Brian Norman Jr., that was announced this week that he's going to be fighting on the I believe the March 29th card. He's going to be the co-main event. He's going to be fighting against Derrick Cuevas, defending his WBO welterweight title. And this was a long time coming because these two were supposed to fight, I believe, in November, if I'm not mistaken. And Brian Norman Jr. had to pull out because of an injury. And but when I did speak to him and speak to Dad earlier this year, when I had Senior on the channel, they said that there was still the plan to fight Cuevas, even though nothing at that point had been announced. Now, Derrick Cuevas is a Puerto Rican guy, very, very tough guy, a guy that cannot be overlooked. But this is a fight that the boxing world, the true boxing fans, fully expect Brian Norman Jr. to win and win in impressive fashion, especially based on the fact that this fight has been delayed. He's had some extra time to be able to prepare. So, that's going to be a good fight as well. The main event on that card, though, is actually a female fight. And like I said, this is something that me and Christy Martin spoke about during our interview on Tuesday, how women's boxing is just popping right now. I mean, you had potentially, a lot of people are calling Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor Part 2 the fight of the year in 2024 because, I mean, they just produced fireworks. The first fight that they had sold out the Garden, the big room, in the main event. And that is absolutely crazy because you got fighters right now, you got champions right now that are not even fighting in the big room. They're fighting in the small room in the Hulu, but they sold out the big room. And again, the sequel, that was a great fight as well. Obviously, a close fight. A lot of people thought Amanda Serrano had won that first fight. Katie Taylor edges her out by decision. Same thing with this fight. It was almost like a carbon copy of the first fight because both of these females, I mean, they went at it, in true Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, warrior style fashion. And with the first one, a lot of people thought that Amanda Serrano got robbed. Personally, I also thought that Amanda Serrano should have won. But you can't dismiss the fact that Katie Taylor did her thing as well. I mean, she's a true legend as well, in her own right. Both those females are two of the greatest female fighters. When they retire, they're going to go down as two of the greatest female fighters that ever lived. But yeah, I mean, now you got another main event, and this is again a rematch from a fight that happened last year at the Garden. I mean, at New York City at the Garden. I believe this was in a small room, but a lot of people were saying that it was their fight of the year as well, and that was Sandy Ryan against Mikala Meyer. And this is a fight where again, two females not afraid to put it all out in the line and just fight their asses off. I mean, no pun intended. I mean, but they went in there and they produced a fight that was fireworks that a lot of people were screaming for them to do it again, and they're doing it again. I don't think that this fight is going to be in New York. I believe that this one's going to be in Vegas. Little disappointed by that. They should have brought this one back to New York, man, because I know a lot of people that were in the building that night, including my brothers from Four Corners Boxing. Shout out to Four Corners Boxing, man. Y'all already know how we do. They my boxing family, and they were in the building. And my man X, my man the maniac, the boxing maniac. They said that the energy in that building when those two females were fighting was insane. So they'll be fighting in the main event, and then Brian Norman Jr. and Derrick Cuevas for the WBO welterweight title will be fighting in the co-main event. And then you have Mario Barrios. He holds the WBC title. I don't believe that there's been a fight that's been announced for him yet, but again, he's in the mix. And when I say that, he's in the mix to unify. And for years, for decades, the welterweight division has been the division, like the most action-packed division, right? The division that everybody has said that produces the greatest, some of the greatest fighters, some of the greatest fights, for decades. That and the heavyweight division. And last year it kind of stalled a little bit, and it was a lot. It had a lot to do with a lot of name star power. They had good fighters. They have great fighters actually, but it's starting to pick up again. You know what I'm saying? It's starting to pick up again. You have rumors that Teofimo is going to move up to 147. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. Those are all other fights that have all been announced. But shout out again, shout out to Boots Ennis and shout out to Stanionis for taking this fight. Unification. Whoever wins, I expect them to face Brian Norman Jr. if he wins, and then Mario Barrios. Let's get it on, man. Let's unify these titles, man. But anyhow, we got what we got in the building, man. We got Manuel LG, who threw paint on her. Man, I don't know, man. I for the viewers that are watching, there was an incident before the Mikala Meyer Sandy Ryan fight where somebody out in the street. I mean, I don't know who it was. There's rumors that, or actually Sandy Ryan was thinking that it was somebody from Mikala Meyer's camp, that ran up to her, threw some red paint on her. I think she was wearing a white outfit, whatnot, and she was kind of shell shocked. That all happened like literally a couple of hours before the fight, right outside the arena. So I don't know if that made the fight a lot more spicier, because again, like I said, I love fights where there's bad blood, man. To me, I mean, that's where it's at, man, and that's where it should be at. Like, I don't mind fighters showing the other fighter respect. I get that. But my thing is, save that for after the fight. Before the fight, nah, man, we ain't friends. How could you be hugging it out in a press conference when realistically you want to knock that other person's head off? Let's keep it 100. Like, nah, let's get spicy. Let's talk some trash. Let's get some bad blood going so it can make for a better fight in the ring. And then after the fight, like I said, if you want to hug it out, you want to give each other respect, you want to take each other out for dinner, I don't mind that. But before that, it's business, man. This is boxing, mano a mano. You know what I'm saying? This is war when you get into the ring. I'm old school when it comes to shit like that. So I don't know. Maybe that made it a little bit more interesting. But my Manuel LG, shout out for you, my boxing boys brother Manuel LG, for jumping in and joining me on my live. We already know how we do. But man, I don't know. But the mystery is what's going to happen. What's going to happen before the second one, right? Because you just never know, man. What's good? I got TD Sports Talk in the building. Hashtag in the Bronx. What's going on? Welcome aboard, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, man. Salute to you, brother. I see what you're doing out there as well, and I got your back, man. We got Norbs. He hates my Yankee hat. Of course, you're gonna hate my Yankee hat. People always hate, the team that that carries the city of New York. You already know how we do, bro. Yeah, there's video of it. So again, if you have not seen that, check it out, man. Check it out on YouTube. That whole incident with the paint throwing, that shit was kind of crazy. But moving along, man, moving along. So some more big news this week. And me and Norbs on our show last week, and shout out to my brother Norbs because he actually joined me, and we'll get him back on as well. I thought it was a great show. Last week we talked about Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, their rematch that supposedly is going to be happening in October, right? And there was a whole back and forth going on of if that fight would ever happen. Obviously, the entire world, well, I'm assuming the entire boxing world wants to see it. Maybe there are some people that don't want to see it based on Ryan Garcia's performance. There are a lot of people that said there's no need for a rematch. I mean, he beat Devin Haney down, but let's not forget that as many times as he put Devin Haney down, Devin Haney did finish the fight on his own 2 feet. Feel me? You know what I'm saying? And there were parts in that fight, in the middle parts of that fight, where he was cooking. He was cooking. So I think a rematch is worthy, especially after all the controversy. Obviously, we all know the deal. Devin Haney got the loss taken off his record. Ryan Garcia got pinched for Ostarine. And now Ryan Garcia is serving his suspension. That's slated to be over at the end of April because this fight took place, I believe, on April 20th, if I'm not mistaken, at the Barclays Center. So around that time, his suspension will be done. And then Turkey Al-Sheikh, you already know the deal, right? Ryan Garcia, and they're trying to get him to do all this VADA testing. And he's going on social media saying that he don't trust VADA. He don't trust Victor Conti, who is basically the face of VADA and has been through a lot of different controversies in other different sports involving steroid usage. But then when Turkey Al-Sheikh gets involved and waves that magic wand. And when I say magic wand, I'm talking about the bag, bro, because money talks. We all know money talks. You know what I'm saying? Cha-ching. If I had that sound effect, that's what I would put on right now. So He got involved in that, and now here you go. They've agreed to fight in October, but they're both taking on fights in May. So if you want to call it a tune-up, you can call it a tune-up. But let me tell you something. I think they're going to be two tough fights for both of them. We had thought that it was going to be Ryan Garcia against Pitbull Cruz, but Pitbull is not going to be the opponent. It's going to be Rolly Romero, and this is an interesting choice because I don't know. I think that this fight is going to take place in at 147. That's what I'm hearing. I believe it's going to be in. They're saying in New York City. They're saying Times Square, which is kind of weird for me because where are they going to fight? I mean, do they intend to close down the street and put a ring in there and barricade it off and have, a billion, police officers all over the place to kind of monitor for safety? Because we all know public safety, especially in a city, an event like that wide open. I mean, with the world that we live in today, that's kind of crazy. So I don't know if Turkey meant this is going to happen in Times Square because of the press conference, or that's what they're trying to do. I do know that they've done press conferences in Times Square in the past. I believe a Canelo Mayweather or somebody. I believe it was Canelo Mayweather. They did their press conference there at Times Square, and basically, like I said, they shut down half of Times Square. Because the city people, the fans are going to come out. But man, but like I just don't understand how the whole dynamic is going to work. But I wouldn't discount it, especially when you have the money and you're Turkey al Sheikh. If you want to make something happen, you're going to make it happen, and it's going to be epic because it's never happened before. And if you're going to do something like that outdoors, Times Square would probably be one of the best places that you could possibly think about doing that. But anyhow, you have Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, and this is a fight where both those guys are familiar with each other. There's been videos that have been surfacing out there for the last year or two about them sparring, Rolly potentially hurting Ryan. I mean, again, I don't put too much stock in sparring. It's sparring. Sparring is practice. You know what I'm saying? Half the times, one person is sparring against another person. One person may be working on one thing, and the other person may be working on something else. So I don't pay too much stock in it. But there's been a lot of trash talk between those two going on. Ryan was interviewed, I believe it was a few days ago or a few days after the public had heard about him fighting Rolly made official, and he said that was a long time coming. So as long as that fight lasts, you're probably going to see a little bit of action, but I don't see it lasting that long, man. Like I said, I mean, yeah, Ryan's coming off a year suspended, but I mean Ryan's a big puncher, and people will sit there and say that Rolly's a big puncher as well. I think Rolly's more of a. I wouldn't say he has power, but he swings hard. He's a hard puncher. He'll swing hard. And shout out to my man Hamza who said that on the Boxing Voice, and that made perfect sense. It's not necessarily that he has power. He just swings hard. And I guess speed. Realistically, speed generates power, whatnot. But I haven't been impressed with Rolly for a long time, to be honest with you. I think Rolly's game, or what Rolly's really good at, is talking, selling fights. I mean, he's a funny dude. I think the build up to this will be funny, especially if you get crazy Ryan Garcia. And we haven't seen crazy Ryan Garcia yet. We have not seen anything close to the nut job Ryan Garcia that we saw in the lead up to the Devin Haney fight. That Ryan Garcia was out of control. He was crashing out. There were people that I was wanting to bet with, saying, I don't even think Ryan shows up to the fight against Devin Haney. I think that's why they got Arnold Barboza, waiting in the wings, because they know the deal. Something's going to happen a week before this fight, and this dude's not even going to be able to make it to the fight, which is why I didn't pick Ryan to win. And then all of a sudden, look what happened. Ryan went in there, and he did what he needed to do. He beat the brakes off Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Ryan has enough speed and enough power and obviously skills. I mean, the skill level between him and Rolly are like night and day. So it'll make for an entertaining trash talk before fight night. I think that'll be interesting. Like I said, Rolly in that aspect is must-see TV, but I'm not really expecting more than that in the fight. I mean, maybe the first couple of rounds you see, some big, punches thrown, and maybe you see a little bit of fireworks, and maybe he catches Ryan Garcia. But at the end of the day, I don't think that he's going to be able to stop that left hook either. It seems like there aren't many people in boxing that can stop that left hook other than Tank. I mean, Tank obviously did a good job, in stopping that left hook. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds on that. Then you got Devin Haney, who's going to be making his return into the ring. He has not fought either since that last fight, which is questionable because he wasn't suspended. So where are you, Devin? Where you been? Like, I did a show 2 weeks ago with my man Fight Night X. Shout out to X. We did a milk carton edition. X does that every Monday on IG where he puts a fight on a milk carton. Where are you now? And Devin Haney was one of those because, like I said, at the end of the day, he wasn't suspended. He had his loss taken away. So you would have expected Devin Haney to fight again in 2024, but he didn't. But at the end of the day, like I said, that fight was pretty brutal for him. So if he needed that extra time to kind of just get back into the groove of things mentally, not just physically, mentally, because when you get beat down like that, I mean, it takes a lot out of a fighter mentally. You know what I'm saying? Especially going into that basically invincible, like he had not lost a fight. He had not been in that type of danger. Had he been hurt before? Yeah. But this was more than hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got put on his ass a few times. You know what I'm saying? And that fight, realistically, if the referee or Bill would have stopped that fight late in the fight, it would have been justifiable. He was taking a lot of punishment. But so he makes his return in the ring. His opponent will be Jose Ramirez. I think it's a good fight for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did not expect him to take on a champion, but Jose Ramirez is a former champion, a former unified champion. He's tough. I know that he hasn't looked good the last couple of fights, but he's savvy. He's a veteran. He's going to put pressure on Devin, and that's what you want to see. You want to see Devin get tested. Now, how much he gets tested, I don't know. It all depends. Like, the whole curiosity of this fight, or these two guys fighting is, who do we see? Who do we see? Do we see the Ryan Garcia that fought Haney on April of 2024? Do we see the Devin Haney that we saw going into that fight, where most people were thinking that he was going to pretty much walk through Ryan Garcia? I don't know. Did that loss take out a lot out of Devin Haney, and he's just not the same fighter? So again, the curiosity thing is what really is intriguing for me, and we're going to figure that out. But I think that's a good fight. A good comeback fight for Devin Haney. But neither one of those fights, like I said, they'll have to win those fights in order to set up that rematch. And again, I think that rematch, with all the controversy, with the history, with what happened the first fight, it needed to happen. A lot of fans are been clamoring for it. I want to see it. And I think it's gonna be fireworks, because, like I said, same thing what I said with Sandy Ryan and Mikala Meyer. I know people that were in the building, and they said the energy in that fight was out of control. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then you got a triple header, which I think is going to be crazy. Martin Bacoli, the heavyweight, who people are calling, he's just an absolute killer right now. He's a killer right now. Everybody saw what he did to Jared Anderson on a Riyadh card. You know what I'm saying? Like, he literally just beat the crap out of Jared Anderson. He's a monster. He's a monster, but he's going to be facing another big puncher, Effie Ajagba, at heavyweights. And you already know how the heavyweights do, bro. They go in there and they throw the leather. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a good triple header. I'm just wondering, where is it going to be, man? Like I said, is it going to be just the presser there? Or are they going to set up a ring and do that? That'll be crazy. That would be legendary if they do that, man. Yeah, we said that. Yeah. We got to that. Anyway, in the morning, you tuning in. Manny LG, I saw that. Yeah, that was a question I was asked earlier. I don't know, man. No, man. I want to. I love Anyway. He's one of my favorite fighters, pound for pound. But man, it's early. And the thing about it is they're telling you, an approximate time. If the approximate time is true, I think they said Eastern Standard, it would be about 5:30 or something like that. Yeah, there's a possibility, man. There aren't many fighters that I would get up early in the morning to watch, because I'm just not a morning person. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of a night person. I'm a night owl. But if there's a fighter that I'm going to get up and watch, it'll be Anyway. So I'm going to say yeah. But don't hold me to it. You know what I mean? My man, Pristine Sports Network from the boxing voice is in the building. Salute to you, Cat. Appreciate you rocking out with me, man. Already know how we do, man. Boxing family, man. We got MZ3 Golden Boy card. Yes, sir. Manny LG ProBox card. That's tomorrow. We're gonna get into that in just a little bit. Norbs, yep, April 20th. That's what it was. I thought that's what it was. He's doing that to keep his excuse. I hear that, man. I hear that. Yeah, that's my Uncle Turkey. And yeah, well, you need to get your Uncle Turkey to call your boy Canelo and set up a fight against David Benavidez instead of Terrence Crawford, because that's the fight that I would prefer to see. Like, I'm not shitting on Terrence. I think that's a great consolation prize. But at the end of the day, the fight that we've all wanted to see Canelo fight would be against Benavidez. But we'll see. We'll see how much power Turkey got. But let's move it along, man, because another guy who's making headlines, and you either love him or you hate him, is my man Teofimo Lopez, man. I mean, listen, if people hate on Teofimo, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has the tendency to say things that are off the wall. There are a lot of people, that will call him racist because of all the things he says about black fighters. Me personally, I don't really get into that whole thing with emotionally invested in a fighter's personality, because at the end of the day, I'm just a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know them personally. There are a lot of fighters that I've developed relationships with, and that's different. You know what I'm saying? I meet a lot of fighters at fight cards. I talk to them. I'm getting them on the channel. So you're gonna have those type of relationships. But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't know. I don't think he's racist. I just think that he doesn't have a good way with words. So, and I think I said this to somebody not that long ago. I said, I love Tio, but every time he opens his mouth, I cringe, because it's like, what is he going to say now? That's just going to bury him. But at the end of the day, you can't dismiss his skill level, what he brings to the table as far as his fighting ability, the fact that he wants the big fights. He's calling out all these big names. Obviously, there's business that he needs to handle, with Top Rank, before anything else. But there's been good news this week, and if it's true, or I believe it's true, because if you have not seen, there's an interview that was done by Fight Hype, I believe. It's on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. They interviewed Bob Arum, who is out in Japan, obviously for the Inoue fight. Shout out to Bob Arum, man. I mean, this dude is still kicking it, man. Getting on flights, going to Japan at his age. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I hope I have that much energy. I hope, number one, I hope I make it to that age. You know what I'm saying? I think Bob Arum is like 90 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And if he ain't, he might be either over it or a little bit below it. But I hope I make it to that age. And if I do, man, I just hope I have the energy that he has, man. But they interviewed him. I say this to say they interviewed him, and they talked about the Teal thing. I was trying to see if I could get it on the channel for y'all, so that I can play it, but I was having a little bit of technical difficulties right before the show started, and I didn't want to delay the show any longer. So, but long story short, they asked him about Teofimo Lopez, and he said that the Saudis, Turkey Al Sheikh, reached out, and they proposed a 3-fight deal, that'll obviously be funded, by the Turkey Al Sheikh and the Saudis. I don't know where Top Rank will factor in there money wise. They really didn't talk about that, but it was almost like Teofimo's still going to be a Top Rank fighter, but they're going to partner together to make 3 fights for Teofimo. And if these 3 proposed fights are true, the first one being newly crowned 140-pound champion Richardson Hitchens from Brooklyn, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy. That's a really, really good and intriguing fight. You know what I'm saying? And they've already started going back and forth on social media. I mean, Richardson Hitchens calling Tio a bitch, saying that Tio's not really from New York. He's not from Brooklyn. Hitchens is from Brooklyn. Shout out to Hitchens, because I'm from Brooklyn. Bushwick is always in the building. If you're watching from Bushwick, you already know how we do here at the Hangout Spot. But so they've been going back and forth, and I think that's going to be one interesting fight. That'll be the first fight, supposedly. And then the next one will be against Boots Ennis. And we know that Teofimo's been calling out Boots Ennis. I don't know if that fight happens, but that's what they're trying to do, which is weird, because now you got Boots Ennis who's trying to unify against Stanionis. And I'm asking for him to face Brian Norman Jr. if Brian Norman Jr. wins and he wins. So I don't know what's going to happen in that mix. But again, Turkey Al Sheikh, the power of the bag, you know what I'm saying? The magic wand. So that's supposed to be the second fight. And then supposedly, from what I heard, the third fight on that 3-fight deal would be the winner between Ryan and Devin, which is crazy. When we had a lot of talks when these two guys, Ryan and Tio, met in, I believe it was London, when they just did the recent Ring Magazine year-end awards. I believe that was in London. It was a black tie affair. They were all there, a bunch of fighters, trainers. I mean, it was a spectacle. And supposedly Tio and Ryan crossed paths during that whole ceremony, and they were trying to make a fight against each other. At I don't know what weight class, and there were a lot of people saying, including Ryan on social media, that Teofimo will probably be the next fight. In fact, the rumor was when Ryan, and the whole Devin thing got announced that they would be taking tune-ups in May, that Teo would be the guy that was going to fight Ryan in Ryan's portion of the tune-up, which is no tune-up. And if that would have happened, that would have been crazy. Like, I would have gave Ryan a lot of props for taking that fight and potentially ruining a bag with Devin Haney in October, because between me and you, I would have picked Teofimo to beat Ryan Garcia. Like I said, you either love or you hate him, but he's one of my favorite fighters in the ring. There's no doubt about it. Yes, he's had performances against fighters that move that we've all been like disappointed about. Fighters, performances against fighters where we thought that he should just roll right over. So it almost seems like in an aspect he fights down to the competition. Yes, we all remember George Kambosos, that fight, which I think was, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say it was luck, but look at what George Kambosos has done after that. Look what Teo's done after that. I think that was just a bad night in the office for Teo. Obviously, he was having health issues, where, the doctors were saying that he fought through an ailment where he could have died. So again, I say that to say that if those two fought again, and that's a fight that I really want to see again, there's no doubt in my mind that Teo walks right through Kambosos this second time around, like he should have the first time around. But anyhow, I say that to say, getting back to Teo, that there's been performances that we've been disappointed with based on the competition. But then look at his other performances against fighters that we all necessarily thought maybe he wasn't going to be able to beat, right? Vasily Lomachenko. What was that, 16 fights in? There were a lot of people that said there was no way on earth that he was going to be able to beat who at that point in time was arguably the best fighter in the world pound for pound, Vasily Lomachenko. And you saw what happened, right? I actually won money that night because I picked Teofimo, but I didn't pick Teofimo to win like that, basically boxing the way he did. I thought maybe he would be a little bit too big, too strong, too fast, and maybe he would hurt Lomachenko and stop him or whatever it may be. But he handled his business that night. And then obviously look what he's done to Josh Taylor. Look what he did to Josh Taylor. He'd been calling Josh Taylor out, for like a year before that fight actually happened and marinated, maybe even more than that. A lot of people thought that was a mistake. It's, moving up to 140 to fight who people thought at that time was the best 140 pounder. He was, he was undisputed at that weight. And you saw he cooked Josh Taylor. So it's almost like Teofimo fights better when the competition is tougher, when his back is against the wall, when people are doubting that he can win. That to me is when he's even more focused. And that's why I like Teofimo. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to him. If this is proposed card, because again, during that interview, Bob Arum said it's up to Teo, the ball's in his court. If Teo chooses to rock with this is crazy. Right? This is crazy because realistically, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say he's not winning all of these fights. He's moving up to 147 to fight Boots, Richardson, Hitchens. A lot of people are going to pick Richardson, Hitchens. I wouldn't, at least not now on the surface. Boots, Ennis, that'd be interesting. Ryan Devin, the winner. We'll see how that goes. But this is a gauntlet. You know what I'm saying? So if this is true, shout out to Teo, man. Real talk, man. Real talk. But TD Sports, yeah, I didn't get that when they said Times Square. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Listen, are they willing to shut down half of Times Square, put a ring in there, put seats? They did say that Ryan mentioned in some kind of a some kind of an interview. I did not see it, that that tickets were not going to be sold. Or again, I'm not going to sit here and speculate. That was just something I heard in passing. I got to take a look and research it before I shout it out there. But it'd be interesting. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't know how that will work. And my thing too is public safety. We're in the year 2024, man. Terrorism and all of this stuff. I mean, it's real. So the security for an event like that, where you're gonna have thousands and thousands of people come out, especially if it's free. I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know how that dynamic is gonna work. But let me tell you something. If they do it, I'm all for it, man. Shout out to Alexa, man. Much love. I appreciate you, Ma. From the bottom of my heart. Eddie Alvarez, Ryan stops Rolly. I agree. And I don't even think it goes past 4 rounds, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe they feel each other out the first 2 rounds, but I think after that, Ryan will start to cook. So I'm picking Ryan by stoppage no more than the 4th round, if it were me. We got Julian Rosa. What's going on, my brother? Thanks for checking in, man. Thanks for rocking out. I feel like Tank struggled to put Rolly down, unlike Ryan. He got put down easier. Yeah, I mean, listen, Tank, see that Tank fight, because Rolly did hold his own in the beginning of that fight. But I mean, Tank is a type of fighter that he's not afraid to give up the early rounds, because his goal is to go in there and download data, get that timing down pat, feel you out. And then he starts to come on. And you get the feeling that, Rolly was throwing a lot of punches, a lot of hard punches, that he was just waiting for Rolly to overcommit and make a mistake like he did to Ryan. And you saw what happened. He strikes, and that's what makes Tank so good. And that's why I think that Tank is such an underrated boxer. A lot of people will sit back, look at his record, and say he's just a puncher or a power puncher. Tank is a thinker in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And he downloads data, and he studies his opponent, and then he sets up traps, and then he strikes like a cobra. You know what I'm saying? That's a gift. Feel me? So I get that. But again, we're talking about Tank Davis. He's a special fighter. He's a special fighter. So we'll see how that fight goes on. Good chance Devin never the same after that ass women. It's a possibility, man. Like I said, boxers will tell you the most important part of the game is the mental game. Getting in the ring, that's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Going head on with another person who's trying to knock your head off. It's all a mental game of war in the ring, making adjustments. When you go through something like that, that may stay in your mind. It's something to think about. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll tell you one thing. We're going to see how mentally tough Devin Haney is. If he comes back and he looks sharp, and he looks like, the fighter that fought against Regis Prograis, then maybe he needed the time to just mentally get him into a good place to go back and perform the way he was performing when he was undisputed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens. My brother X is in the building. Shout out to you, X. That's the deal, man. Smash that like button. Like I said, if you are here watching this live or you're watching the recording, make sure you smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the Hangout Spot. Tell a friend and tell a friend. That's more important. You know what I'm saying? Hook a brother up. It's free. There's no charging for the subscriptions, man. It's all free, baby. It just takes 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. Let's keep this chat going, man. We cooking up in here, man. You already know what it is and who it is, right? Four corners are in the building. My man, James Valdez, what's popping, my brother? Just came in. I appreciate you coming in, bro. I appreciate you coming in and supporting, man. The more the merrier, man. Y'all already know, man. When y'all come see me at the Hangout Spot, man, y'all family. You know what I'm saying? You come to the Hangout Spot, you hang out with me, you family. That's how we rock. You know what I mean? That's how we rock. So you got Liz Rosado, you will be watching stuff. Probably, man. Like I said, but I got to be honest, if I'm going to get up that early, it's got to be a special fighter that I like watching. In a way, I like Teo. I love Bam Rodriguez. I love Bud. I like Tank. I'm hard on him. A lot of people will say I'm a Tank hater. I'm not a Tank hater. I'm not a Tank hater at all. But I'm not afraid to hold some of my favorite fighters accountable. Like, you got to keep that energy. You got to keep it real. That's how we do here at the Hangout Spot, man. We keep it 100. And if I see that you should be fighting fighters, but you ain't fighting those fighters, I gotta call it out, bro. I gotta call it out. So, like I said, I'm hard on Tank, but it's only because I want to see him fight the best. I don't want people to start questioning his resume when it's all said and done. Well, Tank was a great fighter, but he didn't fight Teofimo. He didn't fight Shakur Stevenson, which is a fight that I want to see. If Turkey can wave his magic wand and get Tank on board, I don't know what's going on with the dynamics of that relationship. But if he can get that fight to get popping, make that fight popping, I'm dying to see Tank versus Shakur personally. That's one of my, if you ask me what are my top 3 fights that I want to see in 2025, Tank versus Shakur. I'm going to still hold out hope for Canelo and Benavidez. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to hold out hope. And, man, let me see. Maybe Inoue against Junto Nakatani. That's another fight that I want to see. That's fire. That is fire right there. Eddie Alvarez Teo's my guy too, man. Like I said, he gets a lot of hate. But at the end of the day, he's a showman. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to do whatever he can do to get fighters to step into the ring with him. He's just not doing it verbally the right way. You know what I mean? All right. So at the end of the day, we'll see. We'll see. You know what I mean? I think this 3-fight deal, if it's approved or he signs off on it, that's going to be a really, really interesting 3 fights, man. That's what's up. James Valdez, Top Rank will get their cut with this deal without having to put up the money. There you go. There you go. And it makes sense because that, if you really read between the lines, even though he wasn't asked that directly in that interview with Fight Hype, make sure y'all check that out. Shout out to Fight Hype. That's what it seemed like. It seemed like Bob Arum was content with what was going on because evidently we're going to get our cut. You know, I don't know what it is. It could be 20%. Who cares? But Top Rank is going to get their cut so they can let Tio play, you know, in the sandbox with somebody else other than one of their fighters. So that makes absolute sense. You know what I mean? This is the business of boxing. That's how it works, man. Alexa, the hangout spot, the best spot. Well, I appreciate that. That's what we're trying to do. You know, that's what we're trying to do. Four Corners Boxing in the building. If Tio fights and wins all 3 of those fights, he's securing his way into the Hall of Fame. That's legacy right there, bro. That's legacy. And that's a word that we don't hear a lot in this day and age, right? How many fighters, let's keep it 100. How many fighters say legacy? I mean, you got some fighters that'll say it, but how many fighters that do say it actually mean it? To me, the golden era of boxing, the 4 kings, those guys, they fought each other. Losing to each other didn't matter. It was all about legacy. It was all about the best beating the best. That's legacy. That would be legacy right there, bro. I mean, straight up and down, man. Yo, shout out to you, X. I mean, that's a good call out. And it will make for some really good debates because then there'll be a lot of people that'll say no because they don't like Tio. You know, but whether you like him or not, you got to give him credit. You know what I'm saying? He's a showman. He's doing what he needs to do. Dirty Digging Nuts, what's going on, my brother? Thank you for rocking out with us. And he dodges fights and a cherry picker. You must be talking about Tank. I'm assuming you're talking about Tank. Man, like I said, man, I mean, there have been people that have questioned Tank's resume. I've tried to defend it. It's hard, though. It's hard. You know, because I want to give Tank the benefit of the doubt. Because realistically, if he does take these fights, he's going into those fights as the favorite. A lot of people are going to think that if he fights Devin Haney, if he fights Tio, if he fights Shakur, that Tank is potentially going to beat them. But I want to see it. Shakur, a lot of people are saying, well, you're going to fight Shakur. He's just going to walk right through Shakur. I don't think so. I mean, to me, you can't beat something you can't hit. Shakur is a masterful defensive fighter. So, but I don't know. Like I said, you know, that's why we want to see it. That's why we want to see it. And then you got people that'll say he's a cherry picker because, again, he's going to fight somebody, you know, at a lower weight class who's moving up. I mean, we're done with that. There's no reason for that. There's enough people in your weight division that could provide you some smoke that you could fight. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, that's just me being hard on him because I want better. Round 1 is in the building. What's going on, man? Thanks for rocking out with me, champ. There are a lot of fights this weekend, and I'm drowning in fight content. Absolutely. But that's always a good thing. You know what I'm saying? That's always a good thing. You know what I mean? I tell people this all the time. Life is better when boxing is involved, brother. Like, I want boxing every day, man. That's what I want. Inoue versus Nick Paul. That would be an interesting fight as well. That would be a very interesting fight. I just think that Inoue is just on another planet, man. He's just a special fighter. Like my man Maniac says, he's like from Area 51 type shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, he's that would be good too. Shakur versus Tank versus Benavidez. Yeah, that could, and Ryan versus Devin. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Pristine. Those would be Ryan and Devin. Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. I threw in Junto Nakatani against Inoue, man, because I think that fight will be big, especially in Japan. I mean, you got 2 undefeated guys. We already know what Junto can do. We already know what Inoue could do. So that fight would be interesting too. But I do want to see Ryan versus Devin again. Absolutely, man. Tank fighting another WBA 100 pounder for the 3rd time. That's what I'm saying. And this is no disrespect to Lamont Roach, man, because I like Lamont Roach. I think he's a very, very good fighter. But listen, you can't blame Lamont Roach. He's moving up in weight class to fight arguably one of the faces of boxing. He's taking a chance to be great. He's gonna get paid handsomely, I'm assuming. And shout out to ProBox because his brother actually fights on ProBox tomorrow. He's 2-0. with a knockout. We'll get into that in just 1 second. But I want to see Tank fight people his own weight, his own size, because Tank at 135 hits like a welterweight, man. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people in his weight class or even a weight class above that I think that would be more intriguing fights. And again, this has nothing to do with Lamont Roach, who you got if Espinoza move his tall ass up to face Navarrete. Interesting fight. Interesting fight. I like Espinoza, man. It's going to be a tough task because again, Navarrete, with his style, awkwardness, throws all different type of punches from different angles. I just think Espinoza has the potential to be a special generational fighter. What he did against Robesi, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of people are going to say that, he throws a lot of elbows or whatnot. But at the end of the day, man, I like what he brings to the table. He has size, he has skill, he has dog in him. But it would be interesting, man. I would love to see that fight. Sign me up, man. Sign me up if that fight happens. Like I said, if you guys have not hit the like button, make sure you hit that like button. We are doing it up here at the Hangout Spot on Thursday night. But let's talk about, and let's not forget, before I forget, you got Keith one-time Thurman. He's going to be coming back against the kid from Australia. Be fighting in Australia. I have not done a lot of research on his opponent yet. So we'll leave that for another show. But Keith one-time Thurman, who hasn't fought in like God knows how long, he's going to be making his return to the ring as well. That was announced this week. But for more important, we'll get into that on another occasion. We got more important news, mainly ProBox TV, which is going down tomorrow night, Plant City, Florida. Shout out to my ProBox family. They're family to me. And I will be there live and direct covering that fight card like I usually do. And we got a goodie because if you have not tuned into a ProBox fight, it doesn't even matter if you don't know the names of the fighters. You are guaranteed to see fireworks because they're always going to pit two opponents against each other that like to fight. ProBox's motto is we don't want to sign runners. We don't want to sign guys that just want to move around, and play defense. We want to sign guys that want that smoke, that are going to go in there and provide entertaining fights. And that's what they always do. The main event is my guy, Najee Lopez. He's 12-0 with 9 knockouts. He is a light heavyweight prospect from Atlanta, Georgia. He's actually friends with Brian Norman Jr., Puerto Rican, ton of potential, ton of power. He has a lot of dog in him. He's trained by Mark Foray, my guy, who is also the trainer of the chosen one, Edgar Berlanga. We had Mark Foray on here a few weeks ago. If you have not seen that interview, make sure you check it out at the Hangout Spot. It was an epic interview. We spoke about Edgar and we spoke about his relationship with all his stable of fighters because he actually trains a ton of young, up-and-coming, undefeated fighters out of ProBox, out of the ProBox gym. And I'll be trying to hit him up next week as well, spend some time with him, some of his fighters, possibly Edgar Berlanga as well. So I'll keep you guys posted. If we could do something there live, we might make that happen. But make sure you follow my IG because that's why I keep everybody posted on my stories on where I'm going to be, who my guests are going to be, and so forth. So make sure if you're not following me on IG, make sure you follow me on IG at the Hangout Spot. But Najee Lopez is going to be fighting against Lenin Castillo, tough veteran guy, 26-1, 19 KOs. This is another step in the right direction for Najee Lopez. They are looking to obviously groom him to be a major player in the light heavyweight division. He has size, he has power, and he's very, very entertaining to watch. He's going to be fireworks tomorrow. In the co-main event, you got two heavyweights, and this is crazy because Gary Jonas, who's the man. I mean, he's the top dog at ProBox. I mean, that's his company, ProBox. He did an interview in the Boxing Voice not that long ago, and he was asked about, there aren't many heavyweight fights. I think this is probably maybe the second or third heavyweight fight that he's actually put on at ProBox. They just don't rock with the heavyweights like that. This one is going to be a goodie. You got Jeremiah Milton, who's 11-0 with 7 knockouts. You know what I'm saying? He's going up against Stanley Wright in a 10-rounder. He is 13-0 with 11 knockouts. That's going to be crazy. Again, 2 guys, 2 knockout artists. They're heavyweights, so it didn't even matter if they don't have a lot of knockouts. You already know how the heavyweights pack that punch. And then you got my man Darrell Blasval Saint, who is a super welterweight prospect. He is also trained by Mark Foray. He's 11-0 with 9 knockouts. He'll be fighting against Steven Daniel, who's 23-6, 3 draws, 8 KOs. Blasval Saint is what Mark Ferrer would call like the Matrix. Like there's a lot of things that he does differently. Like he'll switch stances. He can box off the back foot. He can fight going forward. He's fast. He's slick. He is definitely one to watch. Up and coming guy. Up and coming guy. And you got Ariel Perez, who's a light heavyweight, 5-0, 4 KOs. He's out of Tampa, Florida. His last fight was in Kissimmee. I was there for that. And it was a second round knockout. You got two undefeated guys who are going up against each other. I believe the weight division, let me just make sure, between I'm sorry if I'm chopping up his name, I apologize. Yolander Martinez, and this is a middleweight fight against Jonas Sylvian. And both those guys are undefeated. Martinez is from Cuba. He's 5-0 with 2 KOs. Sylvian is from Florida. He's 8-0 with 4 KOs. But this is the type of card that ProBox is constantly putting together. And like I said earlier, if you missed it, you got Jordan Roach, Lamont Roach's little brother, who is 2-0 with 1 knockout. He's going to be making his third fight debut here on ProBox tomorrow. He's a super lightweight. He's going up against Puerto Rican Luis Quiles, who is 2-0, 1 draw, and 1 knockout. That's a 6-rounder. But let me tell you something. Like I said, man, if you have not seen a ProBox card, tune in. ProBox is the future of boxing. I'm telling you that right now. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they're fighting strictly out of Plant City, Florida. They do some shows in Kissimmee. Last year, they did branch out a bit. I believe that they did a couple of shows overseas. But they're starting to branch out. And this is information that I've gotten directly from the people at ProBox. Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, those are my boys. We talk all the time when I'm at the cards, and they're looking for big things. And just case in point, usually ProBox cards, unless they're somewhere other than Florida, are usually on Wednesday nights. We got Friday night fights, and I'm excited for that, man. I love Friday night fights. So they're looking to branch out. They're looking to take their show on the road. ProBox is blowing up. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, ProBox is the little engine that could. That's what my man, that's from the Boxing Voice calls them. But they're moving in the right direction. They're making a lot of traction. They're getting a lot of respect amongst real boxing fans. And Gary Jonas has a plan in phases to get these guys to the next level where one day they are going to be putting together big time championship fights that maybe they might charge for. I'm not sure. But that's not really his game right now. If you want to see a ProBox card, all you got to do is go to the website or YouTube and stream it for free. Tomorrow, I believe the prelims start at 6 o'clock. I'll probably be live and direct about 5:30. I like to get there a little bit early. But the main card will start at 8 o'clock. So make sure you tune in, man. Make sure you tune in to my family at ProBox. I promise you, if you are disappointed, come in here and tell me, but you're not going to be disappointed. Trust me when I tell you, if there's anything I'm going to sell, and it's not because they're my family, I'm selling ProBox because that is must-see TV all the time. So shout out to them. Let's see what we got in the chat before we move forward to Saturday. Tank is going to have no choice but to get on board. I believe that his last easy fight that he has, no disrespect to Roach, Four Corners Boxing, my man X. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what the hesitance has been, to do business with Turkey Al-Sheikh, but there's a lot of these boxers that have big egos, right? We thought at one point in time, to X's point, that maybe Canelo would never work with Turkey Al-Sheikh, and look what's going on now. You sit two guys in a room, just themselves, and let them talk business, and that's how issues get hashed out. In any area, it could be any sport, man. I'm always a big fan. You got free agents in other sports that just can't negotiate with, a contract. Bro, get into a room, just you, your agent, the GM, whoever it is, the owner of the team, and figure it out, man. Don't leave that room until y'all figure it out and get to a common ground. That's what negotiation is all about. That's another word that a lot of fighters have forgotten about in this day and age, negotiation. Like, I don't like that offer. Fight is off. I don't want that fight. Well, if you don't like that offer, why don't you make a counter offer? Why don't you negotiate? That's what it's all about. But I mean, I don't know. I don't get it, man. So we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, Tank has a big ego. So I don't know if he'll cave in, but money talks. Money talks. Thurman wins he fights Spence next. I don't know. But can we see Spence? That's another dude that's in a milk carton. There's rumors about him fighting Fundora like every other month. Now they shut that one down. So who's he going to fight? And then when his fans tweet him on Twitter when we're going to see him, instead of saying soon, we're working on it, I'll come back when I'm ready. Well, when are you ready? We haven't seen you in over 2 years. We haven't seen you since the Terrence Crawford fight. Damn, was that beat down that bad? Bro, you lose. Fighters lose. Just get right back into the swing of things. Don't throw away 2 years of your career. Trust me when I tell you, man, he's going to regret it when it's all said and done. This could have been 2 years where he could have reestablished himself as the top fighter in that division, or maybe a top fighter in 154. If you stay busy, man, that's the thing that frustrates me about these fighters, man. I get emotional, man. I get into it, man. Because like I said, I love boxing. And I think boxing can be the best sport in the world. But we're our own worst enemy because of these dudes. Like, yo, stop it, man. Stop being emotional. Just get right back into the ring, man. You're going to lose fights. This is boxing. Shout out to my brother Z Pacino, brother, checking in. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Round one, damn, I'm watching the NOA fight. And at the same time, it's 1 championship card and 3 title fights. Then I got ProBox later that day. And Saturday, we got Bare Knuckle and Pacheco versus Nelson. We're going to get into that in a second. Shout out to you. Like I said, bro, there's a reason why one of the first things I did in my garage man cave, and even here in this room, I got 2 TVs in every room. If I'm watching my boxing in the garage, and y'all see me when I've done my show, or when I've done my other interviews, or when I've been in the Boxing Voice, I'll do it in the garage. I got the pool table in there, so that's the ultimate hangout spot. But in here, this is more like a sports watching room. I got a huge TV here. I got one here. But that's only because the more the merrier. I got 2 fights going on. I got the main fight going on here, and I got the other fight going on here, and I'm not trying to miss anything. And if there's 3 fights, I'll put the iPad up or the laptop. Like, that's how I roll, man. So to me, the more the merrier. The only thing that pisses me off, though, and luckily it's not happening, the next couple of weeks, is that they'll put 2 or 3 fights on a weekend, and then we won't see one next weekend. Like, dude, space them out so we can have boxing every weekend. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, Satan Dog, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Warlock Boxing. I appreciate you checking in, man. My mans. We need you on the commentating fights over there too. We need you. For sure. Well, I've been on the Boxing Voice, if that's what you're talking about. If not, maybe I'll start doing my own live fight chats. But I've been on the live fight chats in the Boxing Voice for some fights. We did a few. We did Keyshawn's last fight. I was on there when he beat Lemos in impressive fashion. We did Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. We did that entire card, and that one got crazy. Like, I've done a few already. I enjoy them because I love to interact with the panel. Ness, Two Tone, obviously, I love the chat. Ain't nothing like I want my shows to be like the Boxing Voice chat. So shout out, make sure y'all letting people in the Boxing Voice know, the community know how we do it up here Tuesdays and Thursdays, and if we need to, we'll put on another show on Wednesdays, because I got a lot of guests that I'm looking to line up anyway. So I may put a third show, man. But yeah, for sure. Thurman fights Zoo next. I don't know. When Tim Zoo lost, I was at that card. I was working that card. I actually interviewed Keith Thurman in the parking lot when the fight card was over, and he said that he wouldn't mind doing that. He thought that Tim Zoo came here with a little bit of arrogance, and that performance, getting beat down by Bakram, kind of grounded him a bit. You know what I mean? But he also said that he didn't think that he would be able to recover from it. With the whole loss to Fundora, with the cut, losing his title, and then getting beat down by Bakram, he thought that Tim Zoo wouldn't be able to recover. But we'll see. Like I said, if many people call for it, I'd want to see it. I still want to see Tim Zoo. Tim Zoo has an old school fighting style mentality that's, he wants to fight. And we'll see. We'll see, how he covers. Tank should fight Thurman at 147 next. That's a fight that people had talked about a while ago when Thurman was actually active. But again, I don't know if Tank is willing to move up to 147. The crazy thing is, Tank will tell people that want to fight him at a higher weight class that he's a lightweight. I'm a lightweight, man. I'm a small guy. But you moved up to fight Mario Barrios at 140 and take his title. So which one is it? So it's almost like strategically, like I'll only move up if I know I can beat this guy, or if he's more of a layup than another guy. I don't know. I hate to think like that, but this is the business of boxing. This is what boxers make us do. You know what I'm saying? This is what boxers make us do. So, it is what it is. Point Fire, appreciate you rocking out with me, brother. Shushu Carrington is nowhere close to Inoue's skill set. Top ranked boxing is on the hype train yet. Won't even upload Carrington's hometown decision. Lackluster performance is pathetic. Well, yes, apparently, again, and you got to understand, Inoue is a top ranked fighter. So is Bruce Carrington. Bruce Carrington brings a lot to the table skill wise. Is he ready for an Inoue fight? As a fight fan, I'll probably say no. Like I would prefer maybe a couple more fights before I feel comfortable because, like I said, Inoue is a different animal. But Bruce Carrington is going to be special too. I just would prefer if it were me that he takes a couple more fights and then maybe goes after that smoke. But if Bruce Carrington and Top Rank thinks he's ready, go for it. I love when these young guys scream out wanting to smoke, man. Go get it. Who are we to say they're not ready if they think they're ready? Like we could think they're not ready, but if they think they are, more power to them. We need more fighters wanting that smoke. Shout out to Floyd Schofield. A lot of people are going to sit there and say that he's nowhere near ready for Shakur, but guess what? He wanted that fight. His promoter went out on social media, Oscar De La Hoya. Shout out to Oscar, man, because Clapback Thursdays is back. And if you have not seen this episode, or it's not even an episode, it's a small clip. I don't know, maybe a minute and a half, where he goes in on Bill Haney. It's absolutely, it's funny. It's insane. So if you have not watched Clapback Thursday, Oscar De La Hoya, he put it out earlier today. I saw it. It was insane. Make sure you check that out. But Oscar De La Hoya didn't think he was ready. So if it was Oscar De La Hoya's choice, he wouldn't be having him fight Shakur next. But guess what? Floyd and his father said, we want Shakur next. And that's the fight they got. That's what we need more of. Because at the end of the day, if Floyd loses, he's still young. He can learn a ton from fighting a guy and sharing the ring with a guy like Shakur with that skill level, or he can shock the world. You never know. This is boxing. So Keyshawn Davis, 2 fights ago before Lemos, he wanted to fight Tank. People were like, "You're insane. You still, you're still not ready. You're only 12 fights in, or whatever it was, 10 fights in." He calling out Tio. He calling out Tank. Now he's got a title shot against Baranchek. That might put him in the line to fight Tank next. Who knows? But again, we need these young fighters to continue to call out these other guys and want that smoke. So if he wants it, hey, I'm all for it, man. Calling fights on ProBox. Oh, calling fights on ProBox. Man, I would love to. I would love to. Maybe we'll do. Well, the problem is I can't do a live fight chat because I'm at the facility. I'm actually working the fights, and when I'm there, I'm moving all over the place because I'm talking to fighters. I'm trying to get interviews, networking and stuff like that. So but we'll see. We'll see what the future is. I'm gonna start thinking about possibly doing live fight chats for other fights. So Z Patino, I'm gonna keep you posted on that. Who do you think is gonna be Belanga's opponent? Great question. I'm waiting for that because, like I said, I'm trying to make plans to potentially be at that fight. Shout out to Mark Foray. Like I said, we're looking to make that happen. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a tough guy. I think this is going to be, if I had to predict somebody that Belanga can fairly walk through so that he can look good in front of his Puerto Rican crowd, because this fight will be, one thing I do know is this fight will be in March and it will be in Puerto Rico in front of his home crowd. He wants to fight in front of his people. He actually lives in Puerto Rico now. He told me that personally. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking that maybe it would be Gabe Rosado, because I know Gabe has been very, very vocal about wanting that smoke. I think that a name like that would be good for Belanga. At least, it's Puerto Rico versus Puerto Rico, or Brooklyn versus Philly, or whatever, right? And if it happens in Puerto Rico, I think it would be good, right? You get 2 Puerto Rican guys, a New Yorican and a Philly Rican, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully he did put out a tweet. I believe it was, if it wasn't last night, it was yesterday. Yesterday it was today that the fight announcement should be this week or something like that. But I'm watching the Golden Boy card right now. That's what's up, man. I wish I was, but I'm here rocking out with y'all. I'd rather be here with y'all right now because y'all my peoples. At point five, you speaking facts. It was supposed to be as welcome to the big stage. I had that fight a draw, Alpha Shushu. Yeah, I mean, listen, it was it wasn't, Shushu's performance wasn't what we expected, but he got the W, and he got a ton of experience in the process, man. And that's gonna be even better for him down the road. I'm a strong fan of these young fighters facing adversity early in their career so that they learn from it, they improve, And then when they face it later on down the road, it's not a surprise. I've been through this already. Like, I would prefer all these young fighters, 10 fights in, get dropped. Like Floyd Schofield, he got dropped, his last fight. That's good. I think that's good because he got up and he won. You gain a lot of valuable experience, and it tells me a lot about your resolve. It tells me a lot about your mental fortitude. Can you come back from adversity? I think every athlete, that has to be a trait, a tool in their toolbox. They got to be able to come back and face adversity. And in boxing, you're going to face adversity, unless they give you a bunch of layoffs all the time. In life, you got to take risks. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what it's all about. Berlanga going to be like Munguia? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. That's a fight I want to see. Shout out to you, round one, for reminding me. I think it'll be a good fight. I think Berlanga and Munguia will be a good fight. And again, it'll sell because of the whole Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. I spoke to Berlanga and I asked him in our interview. It's on my channel if you guys haven't seen it, who would be his next 5 opponents if he can pick. And Munguia was one of those. I think he did. I forget which other ones. He also said Jake Paul. He put Jake Paul in that mix. And I think that was more of, he going to get paid against Jake Paul, but we all know that fight's not going to happen. But, Berlanga, he did mention Charlo as being another guy. Plant, Plant was in there. William Skull, the IBF champion. But I think a good fight for Berlanga personally, for me, would be Trevor McCumbee. I think that would be a really, really good fight, man. I don't know. That fight just intrigues me. Haney can't sell a big fight. Garcia in previous fights weren't sellers, smoking mirrors. The corrupt referee and judge should be the ones investigated. Well, I mean, listen, there's no doubt about it that the bigger draw there is Ryan Garcia. I mean, Ryan Garcia is one of the biggest money draws in boxing. That cannot be denied. We all know that. But it takes 2 to tango, right? So, Haney's going to be there. They're going to be able to sell that fight as the rematch. Bad blood, the whole Osterine. He only won because he was cheating. I'm much better this time around. But again, a lot of it is going to hinge on what happens in May, which is why I believe that the May cards are more intriguing, because if both of them have stellar performances, then it's going to make for an even better rematch in October. So if it were me, I'm rooting for both of them to have stellar performances, because I do want to see the rematch as well. My brother Norris McCumbee, but does he beat any of them? I don't know. Like I said, one thing I will tell you about McCumbee is he got dog in him. And when you got dog, you got heart, and you throw a lot of looping hard punches. I mean, you never know what can happen, Norms. But skill wise, yeah. I mean, it'd be tough. But this is boxing, and like I said, anything can happen in the ring. But last but not least, let's go over Saturday real quick. We got this Saturday, the 25th, Las Vegas. We got Diego Pacheco, 168-pound contender. Another guy. That's actually another guy I would like to see Berlanga fight down the road, man. If they could set up a fight, let's say Berlanga, whoever he fights, he wins, and Diego Pacheco wins this Saturday, I'd be all for them setting up a fight, in May or something like that, man. That shit would be fire. But anyway, Diego Pacheco, who is trained by my guy, Jose Benavidez Sr. He's 22-0, 18 knockouts. He's going up against another undefeated guy. This is a big test for Pacheco. Steven Nelson, he's a little older, 36, but he's 20-0, 16 knockouts, and he's trained by Bo McIntyre, obviously the great trainer of Terrence Bud Crawford. And this fight's obviously going to be taking place at 168 pounds. It is the main event on Saturday, but the card is going to be good. I mean, you got 3 really, really good fights. The co-main event, will be Andy Cruz, Cuban Olympian, who a lot of people are saying already 4 fights. He's 4-0 with 2 knockouts. People are saying that they want to get him in there. His people are saying they want to get him in there in a title shot soon. There were rumors Andy Cruz wanted to fight Shakur Stevenson. Remember, he fought on that Riyadh fight card that was in LA, the first one in the United States. Shakur was in the crowd. They were saying, well, is Shakur here because he wants to fight with Andy Cruz? So again, his pedigree, Cuban, Olympian, amateur pedigree, a lot of experience, although not a lot of pro experience, but he brings a lot to the table. He faced adversity in his last fight. He got hurt against Antonio Moran, but he finished him in the 7th round. So again, gifted kid. He's fighting against Omar Salcido. Omar Salcido is a young Mexican guy who fights like a Mexican. He's relentless. He's going to stalk you down. He's going to throw a lot of punches. He's tough. A lot of people didn't have him beating Chris Colbert. I was there for that fight. He's also trained by Jose Benavidez Sr. Shout out to Jose Sr., who's going to be a busy guy because he's training Pacheco. He's training Salcido that night. Next week, let's not forget, we got David Benavidez and David Morrell. We'll get into that, on next week's show. But Omar Salcido, 20-1, 14 knockouts. I think this is going to be a good fight because stylistically, like I said, Andy Cruz is going to want to look to box, but he's going to have to show some guts and some dog because Salcido is going to bring the fight to him. That's what Mexicans do. So this is a Mexico against Cuba battle. I'm looking forward to this fight a lot. I like Salcido a lot. I tried to interview him in English and Spanish at ProBox after his win, and I kind of chopped that up. If y'all didn't see that, check that out. Y'all probably laugh because my Spanish is bad. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm Puerto Rican, but I speak a lot of Spanglish. I got to work on that. But Colbert, like I said, he stopped Colbert in the 9th round of a 10th round fight just because he was just relentless. And he's an exciting fighter. And I think that this one's going to be a good fight. And last but not least, we got Tito Mercado, Ernesto Tito Mercado. Shout out to him. 16-0, 15 knockouts. He's 23 years old. This fight's going to be at 140. He's a prospect. But let me tell you something, man. If you have not seen Tito Mercado fight, because he's explosive, he packs a big punch, or if you have not seen him in an interview, you got to see both of them, man, because he was actually on the Boxing Voice a little while ago. Ness had him on the show, on the evening show, and I couldn't jump on there because I was getting ready for this show, but man, he talks a big game. And personally, I love trash talkers. I mean, he was calling today's press conference. Today was the press conference. Tomorrow will be the weigh-in for this fight card, but today was the press conference, and he stole the show. Just talking crap. I mean, he was going back and forth. He was talking shit about Keyshawn Davis because he wants to fight him. There's some sort of rivalry there from the amateurs. When Ness was throwing out names, he was saying that he would blast this person and blast this person out. Anyhow, man, Tito Mercado, I think, is going to be he's going to be one of the faces of the 140-pound division, man. He's exciting, he's explosive, and he can market himself with the way he talks, and they're moving him in the right direction. Because he's faced tough competition already, 16 fights in at 23 years old. He's going to be fighting against Jose Pedraza, the sniper, former world champion, tons of experience, but, he's 35 years old. His best days are behind him. My brother's at Four Corners Boxing. They call him pound for pound, one of the gatekeepers in boxing, top 5 pound for pound, because there isn't anybody that this dude hasn't fought, man. And it seems like now at this point in his career, they're putting him against young guys so that they can get the name on their resume. And I tell you that to say that because his last fight, he got stopped by Keyshawn Davis in the 6th round. But he's a former world champion, but look at the people he's lost to, you know what I mean? Arnold Barboza, Jose Ramirez, Jose Cepeda, Lomachenko, Tank Davis, Tank Davis, I believe Tank Davis took that title. That's how Tank Davis won his first world title. So he's been in there with some of the best in the business. Richard Comey, he actually fought to a draw, former world champion. So his resume can't be denied. He's a great guy. I've met him, but he's way past his prime. And this is, again, he's in there wanting to smoke against one of these young, up-and-coming, next faces of boxing potentially. So, I mean, I give credit to Pedraza. This will be a good name under Tito Mercado's resume if he goes out there and wins and, in stoppage or whatever it is. If he has that type of performance that Keyshawn Davis had, then, who knows? Maybe we're looking at Ernesto Tito Mercado to get a title shot, at the end of 2025 or definitely in the beginning of 2026. If it were him, he'd want that next fight. Tito Mercado wants that smoke. And trust me when I tell you, I'm going to try to get him on the hangout spot, man, because he will be one entertaining interview. He will talk that shit. I think, he'd be a dream fight for a prime Adrian Broner, because Broner used to talk that shit. You know what I mean? Broner used to talk that shit, man. Blair Cobbs talked that shit. Like, these are all guys that I would look at as fantasy pre-fight matchups. Like the press conferences would be legendary. And that's what Tito Mercado does. Like I said, he knows how to market himself well, but he talks that trash, and he's confident in his abilities, and he's certainly showing it in the ring. So, man, you got 3 really good fights. This card is going to be streamed on DAZN, obviously. Diego Pacheco against Steven Nelson. Obviously, I'm going to go with Pacheco. When they faced off today, he looked taller. Pacheco is one of those guys that that can be special in the 168-pound division. He's well trained. He's well schooled. He boxes well. He won his last fight by stoppage. I like him, but again, I wouldn't discount Steven Nelson as well. He's older. He's hungry. He's finally getting a shot, at a name, and that's always been, an opportunity for him in his career, So, but I like Pacheco in this fight to beat Steven Nelson. Andy Cruz and Salcido. Man, I'm not sure. I want to say Salcido because of the pressure, but Andy Cruz is also a special boxer who faced some adversity, and I was very, very impressed with how he looked at the end of that fight against a tough guy, Antonio Moran. Um, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one. But I guess if you had to press me, I'd probably say Andy Cruz by decision, but it ain't going to be easy. And I think Tito Mercado will do what he needs to do, and he will do it in an explosive fashion. And I see him stopping Pedraza again. Pedraza's at the point in his career where, unfortunately, yeah, he's making his claim as one of the best gatekeepers in boxing history, man. If they had a pound for pound list, he'd be on there, man. He's just way past his prime, and it's just a lot to ask for a former champion at this point in his career. But I do give him props for continuing to take that smoke, man. Let's see what we got out there. Either way, man, it's going to be banging. It's going to be banging this weekend, Berlanga doesn't beat any of them. I don't know. I mean, we will see, man. We will see what's going on. GG, Diego girl is on OnlyFans. Shaking my head. Appreciate you rocking out with me, yo. Point Fire. You didn't even do enough for a highlight reel. Well, I mean, like I said, man, you're going to have good performances and you're going to have lackluster performances. But the only thing that I tell you is it's always better to have a lackluster. It's always better to come away from a lackluster performance with a win than with a loss. And that's what happens. Like I said, you learn more that way. You know what I mean? Like you don't always have to lose, to learn. You can also learn in a sloppy or controversial defeat. Highlights everyone. We did that. We did that. I love the long the trash talk. As long as he stays away from my guys, I'm rooting for him. I feel you, man. Like I said, Tito be wanting that smoke, man. That's what I like about him. He young, he brash. That's the word I was looking for. He brash. And personally, I like that. Because if I was young and I was an up-and-coming fighter where I grew up at, I'd probably be brash too, man. It's just in the blood, man. It's in the personality, man. Sad when hardworking prospects get looked over for YouTubers or influencers, not good for boxing. You're right. You're right. This is totally a different era of boxing. It's a different era it's a different world that we live in. Like social media it's changed. It's changed everything in sports. Social media, money. I mean, it's just, it's not sports in general. When I say sports, I mean boxing, I mean basketball. I mean, there's a lot of sports that I used to love growing up that I don't rock with no more because it's not the same. They aren't the sports that I grew up loving. Feel me? So, but boxing is one of those that I can't let go. I can't let go. It's almost like in the blood. You know what I mean? Even though I never fought professionally, but it's almost in the blood, man. Broner psychiatrist needs say what you want about Broner, man, but he was super entertaining, man. I think guys like Broner are good for boxing. You need guys like that. You can't always have good guys that are quiet. You got to have some trash talkers. You got to have some quiet guys. You got to have some brash guys. You got to have, all these different personalities is what makes boxing as great as it is, man. You know what I mean? So you need some of those bad guys. You need the trash talkers. So I always thought that Broner was super, super good for boxing, and he was super skilled. He was super skilled at one point. Let's not forget what he was doing at the lower weight classes, man. That man was he was beasting out. He started moving up and getting all crazy. A lot of action starts tonight on Golden Boy. Tomorrow, Top Rank, ProBox, Saturday's Matchroom. Absolutely. Listen, like I said, we can't have enough boxing. We can't have enough boxing. My brother Jay Calderon for Fight Hook News is in the building. Just checking in. I appreciate you rocking out, my brother. I know you somewhere working in the airport, probably not doing nothing. Absolutely, you could turn your cell phone on and check a brother out here at the Hangout Spot. You already know how we do it up. My man Wax is in the building, always supporting what's going on. Wax, appreciate you rocking out with me. But anyhow, listen, man, like I said, this weekend's going to be good. Next weekend's going to be even better because we get to recap what happened over the weekend. ProBox, the DAZN card with Diego Pacheco. That's going to be great. I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to that fight card on Saturday night, because to me, that's the first big DAZN fight card of 2025. I don't think we've seen anything else yet. I mean, yeah, we got Inoue coming this morning, but I love me some boxing on Saturday night. That to me, main event fights should be on a Saturday night. So that's the first big one. But then the most important thing is it sets off a shitload of them going forward. Let's not forget what we got next week. We got David Benavidez against David Morrell, the 175-pound clash for the interim title. Supposedly the winner could be in line for the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol. I think that fight's going to be insane. You got Isaac Pitbull Cruz on the undercard against Angel Fierro. That's going to be an action-packed fight. A lot of people are counting Fierro out because Pitbull is the more known guy. But don't sleep on Fierro. The co-main event, Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreaker. I believe they call him the Heartbreaker. He's going up against Steven Scooter Fulton. And let's not forget, this is a rematch. The first fight was a banger. I mean, Stephen Fulton, he used to call himself Cool Boy Steph. I still call him Cool Boy Steph. Cool Boy Steph edged out Figueroa in their first fight. This one is for Figueroa's WBC featherweight title. That's going down in the undercard. Next week, you got Jesus Ramos, 154-pound fighter. Exciting, going up against Jason Rosario. That's on that card. That's a PBC Amazon Prime card. That's going to be next Saturday. So next week, we're going to go over that card in detail, probably on the Thursday show. On the Tuesday show, though, make sure y'all come and check me out, because my guest for the Tuesday show is going to be up-and-coming middleweight prospect, Alexis Chop Chop Chaparro. He will be in the building with me next Tuesday night, 9 p.m., and he is an exciting fighter. He is managed by the great Amanda Serrano. He is now signed to Most Valuable Promotions, Jake Paul's promotion company. He is 3-0 with 3 knockouts. He was, like I said, he's a big kid. He models on the side. I mean, he's from Ridgewood, Queens, Ridgewood, New York, which is literally walking distance from Bushwick, where I grew up. After his first fight, his first professional fight, I actually did a short interview with him after that. He's a great young man with a bright future, a good head on his shoulders. So he's going to be with me on Tuesday night, 9 p.m. You don't want to miss it. We're going to talk about his future. We're going to talk about, working with Amanda Serrano, working with Jake Paul and Most Valuable Promotions, what the future holds for him, how it all got started and all that. You already know how we do it up here. And then, like I said, next Thursday, we're still working on a guest, but at the end of the day, it will be all about David Benavidez and David Morrell, because that's the fight that a lot of fight fans are looking for. But at the end of the day, man, this was a great show, man. I want to thank everybody for rocking out with me. The chat, we had Four Corners, we had Fight Hook, we had Pristine, we had Manny, we had my man Eddie Alvarez, we had Wax, we had a ton of people, that were involved in the chat, man. Y'all was just cooking today, man. But my chat, my followers, the people that watch me, the people that subscribe and rocked with me, y'all rock with me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all rock with me, man. So, shout out to y'all. My man, Miles Austin, man, my Boxing Voice brother, shout out to you, man. Thanks for rocking out, man. You already know how we do. The Boxing Voice, TBV family up in the building. Fight Hook News, Pacheco's team is wilding out on my boy, Mr. Suspicious Boxing Records, Dominican dude from New York. But Pacheco versus So Cold Nelson is one to watch. I agree, man. Like I said, a lot of people are going to sleep on Steven Nelson, man. This is a big step up fight for Pacheco, and it's not going to be easy. I'm leaning towards Pacheco because I just think that he has the tendency to be a special fighter. But it wouldn't surprise me if we see an upset here. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Either way, it's going to be entertaining. Thoughts on Matchroom Boxing event at the Caribbean Royale in March, man. You already know Caribbean is where it's at. Caribbean Royale, shout out to my family, Box Lab Promotions, Most Valuable Promotions, Caribbean Royale. I mean, we got boxing, we got hella boxing in 2024. They took it to the next level in 2025. They're going to be even bigger and better. I believe that there's a couple of cards that are being in the works. So obviously, we got the PBC Amazon card that's going to be headlined by Elijah Garcia. I believe that's going to be in February, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle of February. And then we got this one that got announced in March. So shout out to Caribbean Royale. I know you're going to be in the building, Wax. You already know I'm going to be in the building because this is how we roll out. I've been calling for Nelson versus Berlanga for years. Let's see how he does with Pacheco. Yeah, Jay, I mean, I said it, man. If Pacheco looks good, regardless, and Berlanga handles his business against whoever he's going to fight in Puerto Rico in March, I would love to see those two go at it in a fight sometime in May. But we'll see what happens, man. You know, this is boxing. Anything can happen. But at the end of the day, I appreciate y'all, man. I'm about to check out. We did an hour and a half. I was trying to shoot for an hour, but this is how we do it up. When we talking boxing, we talking about our passion. Make sure, again, y'all tune in. If y'all have not smashed that like button, smash that like button, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and make sure y'all tune in on Tuesday. Again, middleweight prospect, undefeated, 3-0, 3 knockouts, Alexis Chop Chaparro from Ridgewood, Queens, Puerto Rican, Amanda Serrano fighter, most valuable promotions fighter. He will be in the building with us. But anyhow, like I said, appreciate the love and support. Appreciate you guys rocking out with me. This is your boy Johnny. We are signing out from the Hangout Spot Live, and I'll talk to everybody on Tuesday night.